Hi guys, welcome back to the Honey Pop. My name is Brittany, and today we are getting to speak with the lovely Alexz Johnson. She is a Canadian and US-based singer-songwriter. Her new album called Seasons is coming out in April, and we got to speak to her about the making of the album, kind of the topics that she explored while creating the album. And then we also got to speak about kind of her early parts of her career where she was an actor and she was on Instant Star and So Weird over in Canada. And so we got to talk a little bit more about kind of the nuances behind child stars and things that she's kind of taken with her since that time in her life. And it was just an honor to get to speak with her today, and we hope you stick around and you watch this video. And definitely let us know what you think down below in the comments, and thank you. So without further ado, let's get into the interview. All right. Hello and welcome to the Honey Pop. My name is Brittany, and so I want to give you the floor for our first question. So kind of give a little brief intro about yourself, and there we go.
Hi, I'm Alexz Johnson. I'm a singer-songwriter, mom. Uh, you might know me as an actress on a couple TV shows portraying a musician. And I'm a dual citizen, Canadian and US based. And yeah, I'm really excited to be here in this interview.
Awesome. Okay, so you mentioned this. So during the early parts of your career, you were an actress on Instant Star and So Weird. Is there anything that you learned while on those sets that you take with you today that you've kind of noticed?
Yeah, I would say just my work ethic. I think the way that I've been able to, like the only way that I've been able to continue doing music independently and having a career in this and really having a successful business in this lane has been just learning the work ethic of carrying two separate TV shows in my life and having to show up for hundreds of people every day and learn the dialogue. And you know it was such a amount of professionalism that I needed to learn at such a young age that I feel like it really hasn't left me. And I'm super thankful for that because I make my own hours. So the fact that I've been honed by fire in that way, I'm really grateful for that. So I noticed that probably as one of the main things.
Do you think or like what is kind of one memory that kind of stands out to you from that time in your life that you kind of always, if someone brings up Instant Star or So Weird or anything that you were doing at that time, what is kind of one memory that you're just like, it's always in the back of your mind?
Wow. Just just the amount of time in my childhood that I had to be on, never having the ability to really learn how to like relax. And it was almost like I was like, it reminds me of being an Olympic athlete, for so long. Like so much of my childhood was working. So when people, bring it up, I really think about like, oh yeah, like it just brings me back to that time in my life where, there was fun, but mostly work, how much work it was as a kid, and as a young woman. So that's my honest answer.
No, I love that. I think it's really important. Like, even though it's kind of not like a super happy memory, because you are kind of like it's happy, but it's also kind of like real that you were working and you were kind of, it's, yeah, it was the pressure. And I think that is good that you've kind of reflected on it as an adult and you understand that you had a lot of pressure as a child. And sometimes it's really hard for children in this kind of space because it is so much pressure. So the fact that you're like an adult now and you're like thinking back on it and you have like the good memories and you also kind of know like, uh, this, it was a tough time.
Yeah, of course. Like, I have children now, and it's like I I'm not running to bring them to auditions. Let's put it that way. I mean, if they get to an age, where they're interested in something creative like that, then, we can talk about it and how that looks. But yeah, I think it's really interesting that we live in a world where it's so glamorized. It's so looked at as such an amazing positive thing to have children be famous and to have children be working at such a young age. I really think that something's got to give in that, when you're like creating this content for the world to see, there is somebody who's behind that mask, who's having to show up every day. So yeah, I love that I can talk honestly about my experience because I feel like I survived the Disney Channel. And I think that it's really, for parents who have children who are interested and all of that, I think it's really awesome to be a voice of honesty, having had experienced that myself and having that, have had taken so much of my childhood. I think it's important for parents to see the realities and make sure that they're not just doing it for their own self value and worth, that they're actually doing it for the right reasons. And I feel the exact same way about music. I feel so blessed that I was on this major label trajectory for so long, being signed with majors and in that scene of the after parties and all of it and everything that comes with it. I'm really glad that I can see from both sides now what it's like to be really have all the control and be able to fund my work through my fan base, but also receive it directly and not having to, pay an entire building that's sending out tweets for me. It's so empowering, I think, all of that. So yeah, I love sharing that on both aspects. Why are you doing it? Why do you want to make music? If you want to make music because you want to be famous, I don't think it's a healthy move. If you want to put your kid in the industry because you want your kid to make money and be, I don't think it's a healthy move. It's all those things. Like, is your spirit and soul aligned in the right place? And are you doing this for the right reasons? Because it's not as glamorous as Hollywood makes it out to be. And I think people are starting to wake up to that. And I think that you can see by the ratings of the Oscars and the ratings of the Grammys. I think that there's a facade that's kind of starting to fall away. And I think that with the access of social media, people can really be their own creative, powerhouse. People can do whatever it is they want to do now. And we never really had that ability before. I feel like we really had to get approval from some record executive. And I think now it's like you don't need anybody's approval. You really can it just comes down to doing it, believing in yourself and all of that. So I'm going on a rant, but it is a very exciting time to be doing music, I feel, as well. So yeah. I have a lot of feelings about this.
No, I love that. I think getting kind of that perspective too, because I've been watching Disney Channel since I was very young. Like the golden age of Disney in the US was like the Miley Cyrus and Demi Lovato, and that was kind of my age of Disney Channel. And a little bit before, obviously, like with the DComs and stuff. But like since then, I've always kind of kept up with everyone and been like, okay, so what are they doing? And they're all doing amazingly well right now. Like this is kind of their year. They're coming back. But I've also like gotten into the conversations of the child stars and kind of the behind the scenes of like Christy Carlson Romano is like really good about it and talking about like how yes, it looked like it was a lot of fun, but it was really, really hard for them as children to be on set like that, and how there's not as much protection as there should be. And so I really
actually get to talk to Christy when I'm in LA. I'm going to be speaking on the Even More Stevens podcast. So I'm really excited to dive into that conversation as a Disney kid. Like it couldn't be a better match when it comes to like, I can't wait to meet her. And I love how she speaks out about that stuff. And I love how she's an example of health and happiness. Even though I feel like she probably gets a lot of what I get, which is, why hasn't Alexz Johnson won an Oscar or won a Grammy. Why hasn't Alex Johnson? It's just like, why do I need to?
Yeah. Oh,
Is it for you? Am I doing that for you? Because I don't need that. I
yeah.
don't need that at all. I don't even want to go, to be honest. Like, I'm quite happy doing what I'm doing. So thanks for assuming, but also thanks for listening to my music. And you're very sweet, but I don't know how to take that. It's going to be really fun to talk to her. So yeah, I love that you brought her up.
No, no, I'm
Awesome.
excited. I've kind of dived deep into that whole like realm, and it's really
Mhm.
fascinating, and then it's also, hold on, I have lawn people here.
That's okay.
Okay.
I got kids in the other room with Nana,
Yeah.
so I'm just waiting for the next disaster to unfold.
But yeah, so like I've kind of dove in deep into that conversation and kind of gotten a lot of perspective from different people who have been speaking out about it, because it is such like a nuanced topic and everyone's experienced it differently. But I really like how Christy is focused on one, the conversation, but also kind of the reform that needs to happen.
Yeah, like there should almost be laws, you know? There should almost be laws, I would say.
I definitely agree. But yeah, I'm really excited that you're gonna speak to her because I will be watching that.
Awesome, me
Yeah.
too.
But okay, so getting away from kind of the heavier topics. So your fifth studio album is coming out in April.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's called Seasons, and I'm so excited. I got to listen to a little bit of it, and it's really good.
Thank
Um,
you.
but I guess like, because I know you probably can't tell us a lot about it because it's not out yet.
Yeah, I can. I'll answer whatever you'd like. Yeah, I was gonna ask you what vibe it gave you, what you felt when you heard some of the songs. Like, was it nostalgic? Did it bring back a feeling of a different era? Or was it
Yeah, that was actually that's actually kind of how I felt, because I was like, this sounds familiar. Like I
Yeah,
know it's obviously new, but I was like, this sounds really familiar, and I didn't know how to like put that into words
I love
because I
that.
was like, it sat like it feels comforting also.
Nice.
If
Like
that
a
like
warm
yeah,
sweater on a fall day.
yeah. It also just felt like
Nice.
a warm hug. Like
I love that. Perfect. Yeah, there you go. That was my goal with this record. That's awesome. Maybe it's the quilts in the background behind me, the fall, like you're kind of cozied at a bonfire. Maybe it's the cover that gives that away. I don't know. Hopefully it's the music.
no, it was really good. I didn't get to listen to it all the way through, but I'm going to like after this just because I was like, I wanna, because I listen to it top to bottom when I listen to new music, and I even do that when I'm listening
Nice.
to music on the daily basis. Um,
Hmm.
so I'm really excited to kind of dive a little bit deeper into it.
Nice.
Because I think I listened to half of it and I was like, okay, I need to like put this down. And then I was
Yeah.
like, I'll come back later because it's really good. Like I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. I'm really glad. Yeah, I'm so excited to get it out. It's been really difficult getting to this point, like just being a mom of two under three and juggling it all and also planning this tour and just being at the forefront of every decision that I make for my little indie label that could. This is like, yeah, I definitely a lot of passion, tears, joy, so many different things went into making this record. It's such a moment and a season of my life that I'll never forget as a new mom. Yeah, yeah. And, I think it's a bit emotional too, because so much has transpired in my life the last couple of years before writing these songs. So, yeah, I feel like I'm turning a page in the book of my life, releasing this music, and I'll be able to just move on to something new because it's just taken a lot of time and I'm still in this chapter. So once the album's out, I feel like it's like a release for me. That's what I'm really looking forward to.
No, I
I
love
love that
that.
you enjoy it though, and I can't wait to hear what you think of the full record.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna be writing about it. I already know. I'm like, wow.
Awesome.
I was like, this is
Nice.
good. Um,
Thank you.
so from the album, if you could pick one song from it, what would you say is kind of like your standout track, or something that you always kind of look back on and you're like, that's like not the like this is the album.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah,
when you're
no,
thinking of the song, like this is the album. So
yeah,
which song would you say is that
ain't
for you?
that the way? Ain't that the way? Yeah, I'm releasing a video for that on Thursday. Ain't That the Way is the song that really pushed this whole record to be made. It really does. It's life. It's how I ended up where I am. It's about, I had a plan. I saw it play out upon a big movie screen, and the ending was you and me. But that film never played. But ain't that the way? And I wouldn't change it for anything because I've memorized every wall, photos of my children, their drawings, where I've ended up in my life. It's such a happy life itself is such a beautiful, happy accident if you choose to see it that way. And that's what Ain't That the Way is about. And I feel like this whole record is kind of in that world. It really is such an important song to me. It's such a personal song for me. And it's a personal video for me too. So yeah. And maybe not everybody feels that way when they hear the record. They might think it's, their favorite song is something else. But yeah, I really can't help but say that song, Ain't That the Way.
No, I love that because I like when I do these interviews and stuff, I always like kind of asking that question, because a lot of times your favorite song isn't ours, or it might be partly ours, but we always kind of gravitate towards a song that we personally will relate to. And
Mm-hmm.
because you've written all of them, you have a bit more, like, a bit more about these songs than we do. So I
Mm-hmm.
love kind of asking that question, just because I'm always so curious. I'm like, so which song was it for you that like really just like, this is it, that this is the album we're making, or whatever like that. So I love getting to know that, because I know once I listen to like, I can't say what my favorite song is now because I have to listen to it all the way through like multiple times to like
Yeah.
really get the vibe. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but I've liked what I've heard, and Ain't That the Way is definitely really good. And it's like
Thank
definitely
you.
like top of the list, but I was like, I still have to
Nice.
listen to it a few more times to be.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. Yeah, I love that certain songs have to be kind of digested over time. I'm the same way with music. Hopefully, especially with like intelligent writing, I find it's like, and I think that's how songs used to be written, like in the 90s. I think there was a different style to songwriting. I think there was like when I listened to Alanis Morissette and like those awesome records from the 90s, it's like Jewel, those songs, it wouldn't be like once, it was just on the radio all the time. So you'd be like, okay, now I get what they're doing with this song. So that's awesome. I take that as a compliment.
Like I mean, I love music in general, so but my favorite type of music is definitely like when it's like the singer-songwriter, but it's like very vulnerable. Um,
Yeah.
because I can relate to it a lot easier.
Mhm.
Not to say like I don't like a good pop hit, but like like those like really ones that kind of like cut you and like hit you deep are like my
Yeah.
favorite songs. And a lot of
Yeah.
times I like want to ask people, I'm like, are you okay? Like now? Like, cause like that one kind of hurt a little bit. I was like, but you're good now, right? Please say yes.
Yes, 100%. I completely agree. I love that.
And the fact that you guys are so vulnerable when you're like putting out this music is just, I'm like, you don't have to do this. Like, you don't have to be as like deep as you are, or as
Mhm.
honest as you are. But I think that's what makes a really good record, is if you're really, really honest, no matter
Mhm.
what it is.
I
So
agree.
I
Yeah.
definitely appreciate it, because
Oh,
it's
good.
not easy to be like honest about things, especially
No.
so publicly.
Yeah, no, it's all not easy. Getting up on stage performing, like these are all just a human being. It's like, geez, putting myself on the chopping block, album reviews and all that stuff. Yeah, it's a pretty cutthroat industry. So it's definitely nice when, you know that your music is touching people, that makes it worth it. Almost.
Definitely. So you already mentioned the song, but I want to still talk about it. So Ain't That the Way is the
Mhm.
second single from
Yeah.
season And
Mm-hmm.
so you said it spearheaded the album.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to kind of take us back to the moment where you were either writing the song or you were in the studio or recording when
Mm-hmm.
you first started recording it. What was the mood in the room like? And like what do you like really remember when you think of the song and thinking of like the making of the song?
Um, I was in the kitchen. My husband was making dinner, I think, and I just kind of like sat with my guitar and started strumming and just kind of freestyling some lyrics together. I had this idea for the chorus. Um, a couple years ago, I had an idea. Sometimes I go through my old notes on my phone because I'll like record ideas, and it's kind of always like a sure bet that I'll find something that I've forgotten that was good. Um, and I just started putting it together, and it was crazy because I actually cried because I was writing, 45 and I'm losing my mind because I feel the same. I just think about, it's oh, that's my little guy. Um, I start with 35. I love how I'm talking about age. I think it's really rare for women to talk about their age in songs and the reality of what it's like to age. 35, and I'm losing my mind because I feel the same. Caught in a hurricane, show me some grace. All those as a new mom, when you feel like you're making mistakes, and I don't know, it was really emotional. I wrote it and I was just like my eyes were watering and I was like, this is so crazy. Like this is such a personal song to my life. Um, and I just, yeah, I'll never forget that. And then I ran to my computer and started writing down lyrics, and it actually came really fast. It was crazy. The whole song was written in like, I would say an hour. So it was maybe. So it kind of, yeah, and then that was that. And then that kind of was like that was the first moment where I went, you know what? I was like, maybe I should write a record now. It's been COVID. And I've given birth to my daughter. I'm kind of like in this place where it's like, do I want it? I didn't know if I was ever going to write music again after I lost my sister. I felt like everything felt really, it kind of felt just icky and kind of felt like I just didn't feel like I wanted to write. It felt really self-serving. And I didn't want to just start writing songs about that, my loss, because I felt like that nothing could ever explain what it feels like to watch somebody that you love pass. And the closest thing I can compare it to when it comes to emotion is a birth. Watching a birth is like watching a death. And then when I realized that and put those two things together, I went, no, I have to write a record about life and death. And I have to write a record about how the seasons, they give us so much and they have to die to give us again, to give again. They have to. The seasons is a perfect example, and it shows us every year that this is normal and that this is wonderful and that we have to find space for this and we have to enjoy when it's good and we have to bear it when it's hard. And that's when I went, I have to write a record called Seasons to explain that feeling. And that's where the record came from. So yeah, and so it kind of wrote itself, every part of me, every fear financially. I'm like, how do I do this? And my Patreon was really, my patrons have been so amazing. And, you know, subscribing every month, it allows me to take that every single month and put it directly into my studio gear and mixing and mastering and music videos and everything that goes into it. It's such a massive endeavor. And but yeah, it was yeah, I'm really blessed that this record is here. Really lucky that my fans helped me make this happen, So that's the evolution of how it came to be.
No, I love that. I think getting to hear from like the perspective of the person who put it all together, I think is really nice because we get to kind of hear, because a lot of times I don't like asking what songs are about because it's usually very personal and it's not any of our business most of the time. Like people would be like, "Oh, like who hurt you?" or like who like were you dating at this time? I'm like, I don't care. Like like I care about the fact that you were hurt. And I care about the fact that you're getting over it because it's life. And I think it's
We can all relate to that.
yes, we can all relate to that. But I was like, I don't need to know about like the actual personal like details of things,
Yeah.
just because it's none of my business. But I
Mm.
love getting to hear like the making of the album and like kind of your thought process behind it, things you've learned. I think it's all
Mm.
very fascinating because I think it's such like a therapeutic thing for artists to do, is to
Yeah.
create an entire body of work.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times there is a concept, sometimes there's not, but there's usually always a starting point. And I'm always just so fascinated because I'm not a singer songwriter person. So I'm just like, oh, this is so cool. Like, where were you, like, and what were you even thinking? Like,
Yeah, I
to come
know.
up
When
with
you wrote that
this.
song. Yeah, it's really good questions. You have some really good questions
Oh,
going here.
thank you.
Hmm.
Um, but kind of moving away from the music, sort of. You have a tour coming up soon. There's a few dates in the US, and then there's dates across like UK and Europe.
Hmm.
What are you looking forward to most with the tour?
Playing these songs, playing the new songs live. It's going to be really intimate shows. Me and my brother are going to be playing on stage, so it's going to be a really nice opportunity to talk about the songs. And um I can't really hide behind a band, you know. It's just going to be me on stage singing the words and playing them. And um yeah, I think it's going to be like a really cool experience. It's going to be a really intimate experience with the listeners, and I'm looking forward to that. You know, like I'm looking forward to sharing these lyrics and these new songs with people who have followed my journey for so long. And also the VIPs, connecting with these fans who have supported and bought my merchandise from my store and always been a supporter of such an underdog. Like I feel like I'm such a unique artist. Like I came from TV and then I went completely indie, and so I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to um you know, seeing those parts of the world with my kids, having some breaks in between where I can take the kids to a beautiful park somewhere and have some lunch by the Eiffel Tower or something. You know, in my mind, I see it as this really romantic thing when really it's going to be probably complete chaos. I'll have a leash on my 3-year-old, and you know, I don't know. I have to definitely be watching every moment because I've never toured with 2 kids before. But I think it's going to be really, it's going to be challenging, but anything worth doing is challenging. So I'm looking forward to all of it. And I'm looking forward to coming home and spending some time in the garden and growing in that way, you know, some vegetables and getting my hands in the dirt, you know. So all of it, it's going to be a high for a month. Then I get to come back to the ground. So I'm looking forward to that too.
No, I love that. I think it's really exciting. And the fact that you're going to be able to travel like with your children, I think no matter how hard it is, I think you're always like in the future, you're going to kind of look back at this moment and remember, like, okay, I released this album, I went on this tour, and my kids were there. And
Mhm.
I think that's going to be really special for you. Like in the
Mhm.
future, like when you're looking back on this time and you're like old and gray and you're like, oh my gosh, remember when I took my kids on tour? Like,
Yeah. What was
I
I
think it's just going
thinking?
to be so special for you.
I
Um,
think so too.
and it's going to be special for them too, to get to see like their mom on stage and each night, and then get to like be with you while you're exploring these new places, because travel is just so,
Mhm.
it's really hard, but it's so beautiful at the same time because you're seeing the world.
And I get to meet people too. It's like I'm seeing the world, but I'm also going to be in the culture of the world because I get to be meeting and talking to and experiencing this music with all these people, like experiencing this creative experience every night, which is going to be really, really cool. So for all the hard work that it's been to get to this point, that's I think when it's going to really feel like it's paid off. You know, we just got to get through that first flight to Paris, and we'll be good. Once we get to the tour van, I think we're good.
Yeah. No, but that's super exciting. And then we're kind of closing out a little bit. But so you mentioned this a little bit before, but you are on Patreon, and the album has been funded completely by Patreon. So how important has it been for you to kind of grow and nurture this relationship with your fans in this way, to be able to create the music that they want, but also the music that you want, because you aren't funded by a label telling you what to do. You're doing this all by yourself with your fans. And I think that's just really special. So I'd love to kind of get your take on it.
Well, I didn't really take into account once what my patrons would like or not like, because they're so supportive of my creativity and of my ideas, and I share so much of my failures on Patreon, and I open up so much about my personal life and things that I feel like I'm getting wrong, and it really is such a supportive community, that I didn't have any fear or judgment in that way. I just felt like, I'm being so supported musically, which is what made me so fearless in writing these songs. So I'm really thankful for that. And I've always been this way. That's why I was dropped, because I wasn't able to conform and I wasn't able to do what they wanted me to do, which was write a song that was just like that song that's doing well on the radio, right? Okay, well, this is working. Can you write a song like that? And it was like, well, no, because that's that artist and I'm me. And I wasn't willing to do that. And I wasn't really willing to play ball. And I think that's just who I am. And whether it's good or bad, it's me. So, and I think that the fans who follow my career and like my music and like are a part of the Patreon community, I think they appreciate that about me. So at least, so I try to stay as authentic to that as possible, so that's kind of, yeah, I guess that's my truth there.
Yeah. No, I love it. I think it's with the whole, like, I think we're seeing a lot of different sides to the music industry with social media and people being so honest on like TikTok and all that stuff. So I think it's really nice to get your perspective from someone who has been in the industry for a long time and has been on both sides of being completely independent or having that kind of backing. So I think it's really cool that, and also that you feel that you can share with us. So thank you for that, because it's not easy to like talk about personal things. So
well, what is it for me? I think I'm going to be in the ground someday, so
right.
like, what's there to lose?
Yeah.
Nothing.
No, I love that. I love that. I think it's, and I love getting to kind of hear your perspective on things, because I've been in the industry for a while too, and so getting to hear about like the different aspects of stuff, because I'm not a musician, so I'm not in those conversations ever, but it's always just so fascinating to me because it is such a different world, and it's a different world being on both sides of it, so having the backing of the label and then not, so it's very different. So I loved getting to hear your perspective on it, so thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. These are great questions.
And so the last question I want to, or well, it's not a question, but so we're at the end of the interview, so I want to kind of give you the floor now on what you want to kind of tell your new fans and your old fans to either check out, or, I mean, the floor is yours, so you can say whatever you would like at this point.
I want to say thank you to everybody who's followed my journey up to this point. This record for me is really like, it's completely ripped me open, not only as a person, but definitely as an artist. And I'm really excited to share it. And I'm also really nervous. And I want to say, please come to a show. If you can, come see these songs live. There's so much story and like tapestry weaved into these songs, and it would mean so much to me to meet you and see you at a show, if you can. And also, if you love the record, share it. I'm an indie artist. Support indie music, support indie artists, because there's so much amazing talent out there that feels like they don't have the ability to make and create because they don't have support. And that is the most saddest thing ever, because there's so many amazing minds living in their mom's basement, feeling completely hopeless. And the more that we can support indie art in the community and on the internet community is just so vital to just really shaking up the major label structure and allowing, everybody's voice to be heard, because every single artist is so important. So thank you so much for supporting indie music. I'm so beyond humbled and just really excited for this next chapter of my life and to share it with you all. So that's what I would say.
Yay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So that was our interview with Alexz Johnson. As you can see, she's just very lovely, and we really enjoyed our conversation with her. We talked about a lot. We talked about kind of child stardom, the acting career she had as a child. We talked about her new album Seasons and the next single coming from that, which is Ain't That the Way, and the music video that's coming out as well. So we're going to link that down below for you to go and watch it. But we got to just talk about her touring, her children, and getting to travel with them and how special that'll be. And then we just got to really talk about being an indie artist compared to someone who has the backing of a label. And I really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope you did as well. All of her links are going to be down below, so we want you to go check her out, follow her, support indie music. And then also all of our links are going to be down below. And so we want you to come and hang out with us. And our Discord link will be in the description. And we would love for you to come out and hang out with the community we built. We talk about all things pop culture. So we would just love for you to join us. And I'm there pretty much 24/7. So are a few others. And so anytime you pop in, there's going to be someone there to welcome you to the community. And yeah, so I really hope you enjoyed this interview. If you did, come let us know on any social media platform or down here in the comments below. And we will see you next time. Thank you.